What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. Today we're going to be talking about something a little different. I know normally I'll do like a budget deck profile for the week, but actually we have set 11 coming to us right around the corner, and most of this weekend we're going to be, participating in a lot of pre-release events. So for the most part, to my knowledge, pre-release is a sealed event. You pay your entry, you get your 6 packs of set 11, and within those 6 packs you are to construct your deck that you're going to be using throughout the tournament. Now there are some slight variations to sealed. Because you're only getting 6 packs, I do believe that the deck count drops down from minimum 50 to minimum 40, and instead of starting with 8 life, you start with 6 life. So that's the event that I'm going to be attending this weekend at my locals, Gamer's Edge, which is in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. So I kind of wanted to peel back a little bit of the layers and just kind of maybe do like a prep as to what is beneficial for you to look for in set 11 to utilize in the pre-release. So obviously, super combos are very important in the game. So if you have an idea of what you want to do going into the game and you're able to get a couple of super combos out of the packs, obviously you want to lean towards that strategy. But, playing the right leader is very important. So there's a couple of leaders that we're getting in set 11, and because we're primarily focusing on a sealed event, you want to focus on good generic playable leaders. There are some good leaders that are archetype specific in set 11, but you're not necessarily going to be guaranteed to pull all those cards that you need for the archetype to function. So today we're going to be looking at my top 3 leaders going into set 11 for the pre-release event in a sealed format. So the first leader I want to talk about is the Red Broly. So Red Broly is a 10k power on the front side. Activate main once per turn. You can add 1 card from your life to your hand. This card gains critical for the turn. Activate main. You can add up to 1 extra card with an energy cost of 1 from your deck to your hand, shuffle your deck, then negate this skill for the game. So once per game, you can get a 1-drop red extra card from your deck. You awaken at 4 or less, and you untap 2. The reason this guy is good is because he has a self-awakening skill that's going to allow you to strike your opponent for critical damage. Now, when you're playing in a sealed event, you don't have access to a lot of, just good support staples. You don't have a lot of access to counters and stuff like that. So any type of offensive pressure that you can put on your opponent efficiently is going to be, really beneficial for you as a player. Critical, early 10k, if your opponent doesn't want to combo out or doesn't have a counter, they're going to lose that 1 card in advantage. And this is a self-awakening leader. So being at 6 life as opposed to 8, you're going to be able to awaken as quickly as possible. Sometimes you might not want to do that, depending on how you're utilizing your energy, but for the most part, having the option of awakening as soon as you want to, so you can untap those 2 energies and flip to your backside, is pretty good in my opinion when it comes to a sealed format. So on the backside, once he's awakened, he's a 15k power. His permanent is, if you have a Red Broly BR card in play, this card gains critical. So that's probably not going to be too difficult to get a Broly BR from the packs. You could probably play a 1-drop or something like that just to give him static crit. Auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 card. Then this card gains plus 5,000 power for the battle. So even without his permanent of critical, you're still going to be swinging for 20k and drawing a card every time you turn sideways. And then his last auto is choose 1 card in your hand, discard it. When one of your Red Broly BR cards is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd, choose up to 1 Red Broly BR card with an energy cost 4 or less in your hand and play it. So that's the more archetype specific stuff. If you're lucky enough to pull all of those pieces that you need to utilize the strategy properly, then by all means, at least you have that versatility. But on paper, he's just a pretty good leader. I mean, he has self-awakening on the front. He has the access to critical strike on the front, and then he's an untapped 2 leader. Once he's awakened, he's going to swing for 20k and draw you a card every time. And if you just so happen to have a Red Broly BR, he's going to get that critical strike too. So it's just, in my opinion, it's just one of the better leaders to play for that sealed format. The next leader I want to talk about is probably the second best leader to play, in my opinion. Let's just pull him up here real quick. The second best leader, in my opinion, to play during the sealed format for the pre-release is the Son Goku SS4 Son Goku Guardian of History. So your Xeno Goku, right? So he's just a generically good leader. If you're looking at him as a card, we're going to pop it up here on the screen for you guys to see. On the front side, he's 10k power. Auto burst 3. When this card attacks, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, then draw 1 card. Awaken when your life is at 4 or less. You may draw 1, untap 1, and flip this card over. So he's a draw 1, untap 1, which is pretty good. The reason I'm putting him in my top 3 is because you're essentially playing with 6 life, so you only have to fulfill his awakening condition twice. So yeah, you're bursting 6 cards to awaken unless your opponent gives you a life and allows you to awaken. So it's not too bad, especially with 40 cards in your deck. You don't want to play too many bursting mechanics, but the fact that he's an auto burst 3, draws you a card, and then grabs one from life, you're going to be able to facilitate yourself awakening as quickly as possible because you want to get to your backside as soon as you can. So on the backside, he's a 15k. He has permanent double strike. So he's got double strike static, permanent during your turn. He gets plus 5,000 power for every 8 black cards in your warp. This might not come up very often. There's not a lot of early overwhelm in set 11. A lot of them are like 6 drops and you know the upper curve as far as your card cost. But it might come up if your games go longer than expected. So he might be able to get that 20k double strike in every turn. And then activate main once per turn. You can place up to 4 black cards from your warp in your drop and then draw a card. So on paper, yes, you're going to want to utilize an overwhelm strategy, but what makes this guy good is that static double strike in the back. If you're only playing with 6 life, that's really just 3 attacks that you obviously have to take into consideration what your opponent has as far as defensive capabilities, but when you're playing a sealed format, you already know it's a limited card pool. You might be able to sneak away a couple of aggressive wins with this guy, and if you're able to pull the overwhelm cards, you're going to be able to facilitate that strategy even more. The good thing about his activate main on the back is placing the 4 black battle cards from your warp to your drop. It's up to 4, so you can place 0 from your warp to your drop and still draw a card because he doesn't draw when he swings. So he's going to gain passive advantage on the awakened side, and that's always been a really good effect in the game of Dragon Ball Super. If you date back to the Tournament of Power meta with the yellow Universe 7 Frieza, being able to gain passive advantage without having to attack your opponent and give them resources has always been really strong. Passive advantage is always good. This is what kind of edges him out over Broly for me, being able to gain that passive advantage on the back side. But you can't go wrong with either of them, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, the number 1 leader, in my opinion, that you should be trying to pull or trying to get your hands on for the pre-release event, just a good leader in general, is the Vegeta and Babidi, so the Majin Vegeta leader. So this card is nuts just by himself as a leader. And if you're able to pull the archetype specific stuff, obviously he gets better. But let's take a look at him. We're going to pop up the image here so you can take a look. On the front side, he's a 10k power overlord. Once per turn, you can place one of your servants at the bottom of your deck and draw a card. That's more archetype specific. If you're lucky enough to pull those, you might be able to, to utilize that, but that's not why we're playing him. Auto, add 1 card from your life to your hand. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. Then this card gains plus 5,000 power and double strike for the turn. So he essentially, when he attacks, he's like Kaba. He's getting plus 5k and double strike for the turn, and he's getting you 2 cards, 1 off of life and 1 off of draw. And he's going to be pressuring double strike early. You could do this as early as, if you're going second, you could do this as early as turn 1. Put yourself down from 6 to 5, draw a card, so you get 2 cards, 1 off of life, you draw 1, you get plus 5k, double strike turn 1. That is insane. And then his awakening condition is oh so sweet. When your life is at 5 or less, you can switch up to 2 of your energy to active mode and flip this card over. So he's an untapped 2 leader at 5 life. So turn 1, you already have your awakening condition met. So you're just going to be able to probably play this as aggressively as possible and just out aggro your opponent in a sealed format. This is kind of nuts. So I would definitely try to keep this guy on your radar. Obviously, the whole deck building process has a lot to do with more than just your leader, but I think these are good starting points. Once you're awakened, you're at 15k on the backside. He still has his Overlord tag, and then he has activate main once per turn. You can add 1 card from your life to your hand, draw 1 card. This card gets plus 5,000 power and double strike for the turn. So he still has that, double strike ability on the back. So we're obviously seeing difference here. You know, Broly has crit on the front and crit on the back. Xeno Goku has double strike on the back, static. Broly is like more of an activated effect if you meet the requirements. But this guy can have double strike as long as you meet the requirements of taking card from your life. So as long as you have your life and you can use your life as a resource, you're going to be able to give him that double strike. And then on the back side, he's going to be swinging for 20k double strike, and it's going to net you 2 cards. That's insane. Activate main once per turn, pay 1 green. You can look at the bottom card of your deck. If it's a Vegeta card with an energy cost 3 or less and the servant skill, you can play it. So if you're lucky enough to get the Overlord / servant archetype specific keywords, you're just going to get so much value off of this Vegeta, because leader-based aggression in Dragon Ball has always been really, really strong and very hard for your opponent to deal with, because there's not a lot of cards that interact with leaders. Now, that's just in the whole spectrum of the game of Dragon Ball. If you're focused on a sealed format where you're only using set 11 cards, I mean, there's not much you could do, right? So I just kind of wanted to get this video out there, and this is obviously just my opinion. There's a lot of good leaders in set 11 that you can use, but these 3, in my opinion, are the better / more generic ones that you can just throw 40 cards around it together and be able to make some noise in your pre-release event. So if you guys haven't already, contact your local gaming shop to see if they're participating in a pre-release event. Because, you know, there's a lot of value and there's a lot of benefit from going out. Obviously, you want to maintain, you know, your safety. You want to make sure that you wear your mask. You want to be able to practice social distancing as much as you possibly can, you know, but as things start to shift to a more normal, more quote unquote safe environment, you know, I do encourage you guys to get out there and try to play, because, you know, online tournaments are great, but there's nothing like having that social interaction with just a couple of buddies playing cards for a couple hours. So I hope you guys like this type of video. As we get into set 11 release, we're going to definitely do more in-depth analysis. I'm working on making sure I have all of the, you know, cards and everything available to me for set 11, so I can definitely work on decks and keep on, you know, that budget aspect of the game going into set 11, because I've had a lot of fun with that so far. So we're going to be doing that this weekend, and then we'll get back to our regular upload schedule next week with like budget deck profiles and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Be there or be squared.